Hey everyone, Rachel here. Today I want to talk to you about feeling stuck. Feeling stuck doing your, I'm going to say, stupid physical therapy exercises forever. If you've ever been in that place where you are trying to heal from an injury, you're trying to heal postpartum, you're trying to heal your pelvic floor, you're trying to get stronger, you're trying to alleviate pain, and you just feel stuck. You've seen a physical therapist, you've seen a trainer, you've seen a chiropractor, you've seen your doctor, you've been doing some exercises, they've gotten you to a certain point, you're certainly feeling a little bit better, but you're not 100% and you're not where you want to be. So this video is for you. If you are feeling sort of stuck, if you're stuck, you've reached a plateau in your progress, okay? My name is Rachel. I'm a physical therapist. I'm also a certified yoga teacher, and I've been in the women's health world for a couple years now. I help moms get back to running postpartum without injury and without pelvic floor issues. I kind of got into this based on my own experience with my own pelvic floor stuff, my own pain that I was experiencing in my pelvis. I had symphysis pubis dysfunction and SI joint dysfunction and pain, hypermobility in these joints. It was causing me pain during pregnancy into postpartum, and I wasn't able to get back to doing the things that I wanted to do in the time that I wanted to do it. After I had my second baby, he's 3 now, it took me a really, really long time to get back to regular activity without pain. Regular running, consistent running, and even just doing like day-to-day stuff like carrying my son, even doing some gardening or some hiking where I would still have some residual pain. And I was doing therapy exercises. I was doing what I thought was the right thing to do. I had seen a women's health specialist. I ended up doing that so many months postpartum because I wasn't making the progress that I felt like I should be making. And I got to the point where I had to do my quote unquote therapy exercises every single day, or else my pain would really flare up. They were boring, they were monotonous, and they were necessary because it was the only way that I could maintain where I was at, but I felt like I was at a plateau. I felt like I couldn't move to the next level. I could function day to day. I was working full time. I was even running. But when I tried to increase my running, either by distance, distance, time, intensity, any of those factors, or if I did more hills, let's say, I would pay for it later. I was still having, more discomfort either during the activity or after. And so the exercises kind of only got me to a certain point. And what I had to do was I had to actually stop doing the exercises. I had to go back and do some research, some continuing education, and figure out what it is I really needed to do in order to move beyond the pain that I was having. I mentioned that I went and saw a women's health specialist, and she wasn't helpful. So if you get into that situation where you see somebody and they're telling you, you're doing all the right things, or there's nothing else you can do, or they're giving you exercises that don't feel good for you. I hear that a lot from women. My therapist gave me these exercises and it was like the worst thing ever. I felt worse afterwards. Make sure you go to somebody that is trained and has some experience in that area. To go back to, where I was at with that, sorry about that little tangent there. I had to go back and figure out what it is I needed to do. So I did lots of research. I came across stuff that was helpful for SPD and SI joint stuff, but it didn't necessarily pertain to pelvic floor, and it certainly didn't pertain to running. And then anything that was running based didn't really pertain to me as a postpartum mom who had pelvic floor issues and pain. So there was this huge disconnect that I found, in the research, in the literature, in the continuing education that I was doing, because there were these gaps. I really needed something that kind of met those 3 things, right? Help me as a postpartum mom, help me, as a runner, and then also help me because I had pelvic floor issues. And I didn't want to be stuck doing the same monotonous things over and over and over again and not making any more progress than I had already made. I wanted to be able to run more. I wanted to be able to run freely. I wanted to be able to, increase my distance, increase my speed without having the worry of, I'm going to be in more pain afterwards. That's not a fun place to be. And it creates like a vicious cycle where a lot of times people end up limiting themselves because it's like, well, if I go for that hike, or if I go for that run, or if I go do gardening, I know I'm going to be spent either for the rest of the day or sometimes even for the rest of the week. And you know that your symptoms are going to be flared up. And so, sometimes people make that decision, well, it's not worth it. I'm not going to do those things. And then what happens? Then you really don't make any progress. And you potentially lose progress because now you're limiting yourself. And so you may be actually losing strength because you are more sedentary than you would like to be. Okay, so what I ended up doing was putting together all those exercises so that I could start at like square one, right? Way back at the beginning, start with basics, make sure that I was working my deep core, make sure that I was working my pelvic floor, make sure that I was connecting into exercises that were relevant to me as a runner so that I could get back to high impact activity without exacerbating my symptoms. That's where I needed to be. And I hadn't come across anything anywhere, not even the physical therapist that I went to go see was able to provide me with information on how to do that successfully and safely. And so that was a bummer. But to wrap that up, I was able to get back to it. I was able to do a half marathon. I was able to run without pain. Finally. It took me more than a year and a half to kind of like figure things out, which is way longer than it should have. But the good news is that when I became pregnant with my third baby, I was able to continue some of those exercises. So doing runner specific exercises that incorporated the pelvic floor and the core, right? So that worked my pelvic floor to keep it strong. I was able to run through pregnancy up until delivery. And then I've had like the most phenomenal like postpartum recovery after my third baby, like way better than after my second. I ran a half marathon at 9 months postpartum rather than 15 months. And I felt way better this time earlier than I did at 15 months the last time. So it is possible to have a better successive pregnancy if you do the right things. Okay, so you don't have to be stuck doing stupid therapy exercises forever. I still do at 10 months. I'm 10 months postpartum right now. I still do pelvic floor work, but I do it in a way that is functional and that incorporates exercises that will bolster me as a runner. So it doesn't feel monotonous. It doesn't feel like I'm doing the same thing. It doesn't feel plateauish. And I can change it up. I can modify it. Like if I've had, if I had like a hard run or I did more running, or if I did a hike, I can modify it and do less. If I'm having a day where I'm feeling great or I'm running less and I want to do a little bit more strengthening, then I can make it harder. And so my workouts stay interesting. They stay relevant to what I need, because they address my pelvic floor and they address me as a runner as well. And they're not boring anymore. So I don't have to do the same thing every single day just to maintain, where I am. I'm doing more, I'm doing progressive, I'm doing things so that, I'm challenging myself. I can challenge myself now and not have to worry about pain afterwards. I don't get pain afterwards. I might feel like a little bit sore, like workout sore, but I don't feel like there's any sort of pain that like I have to like take a day off, afterwards, or 2 days off afterwards. So it's been like such a different experience this time around. So, my own experience has led me to doing this kind of work. This is what I do now is I help moms with pelvic floor issues get back to running successfully postpartum as quickly as possible. So you don't have to, I've done all the guesswork. I've done all the research. I know what exercises you need to do in what order so that you can get back to running as quickly as possible. So you don't have to struggle. You don't have to try to figure it out on your own. I have a plan in place. It works. It not only works for me, I just had another mom complete the program, who also, she actually was worse than than I was, where she actually had to use a walker when she was pregnant because she had so much pain. She is definitely an extreme case, but she's gotten back to walking regularly without pain and even running. And she was never a runner before. So she did my program never having been a runner before, and now is able to, play volleyball with her family and not have any pain afterwards, which is just phenomenal. So I'm here to tell you that you don't have to be stuck. You don't have to be stuck doing those therapy exercises forever. There is hope to get better. There is hope to be able to get back to the things that you want to be able to do, with less pain, with no pain, and not have to limit yourself anymore. You don't have to like make a decision like, I don't have to choose between like vacuuming my house and gardening, because if I wanted to, right? If I wanted to, there's the key. If I wanted to, I could do both on the same day. And in that same weekend, I can also go for a hike and a run. And I've done that, in this postpartum, and I don't have to worry about the pain afterwards. If you are interested in working together, if you're interested in this program, send me a message. Let me know that you're interested. We can chat about where you're at, what your goals are, what you want to get back to doing. And then what I like to do is set up a virtual face-to-face so that we can dive really more deeply into that and see if the program is right for you. If we can get you out of that pain cycle, if we can get you back to where it is that you want to be, and if you feel like it's a fit, and if we seem like we fit together, as well, to work together. So don't give up hope. Know that there are resources out there available, and I would love to hear from you. I would love to work with you. So send me a message if this sounds like you and you're interested in healing your pelvic floor, healing your pain, and getting back to what it is you want to do without limitations.